There's a common notion among people that, if we have to consume Ayurvedic medicines, we have to do a lot of Pathya. Pathya is nothing but do's, and Apathya is nothing but don'ts. What you have to do and what you should not be doing. This is a very common understanding. So, fighting the disease, Nidana Parivarjanam, fighting the causes. Or what do? You have to first fight the cause. So that is why we need to follow these Pathya and Apathya. So Ayurveda prescribes first Ahara, then Vihara, then comes Aushadha. So we need to have freshly prepared warm meals, and always cooked food and easily digestible food is always better for the gut. Especially while we are working, we keep munching, we keep having all the junk and snacking in between meals. So we have to ensure that once a meal is digested and once you are hungry, only then you can have a meal. And adequate hydration is very, very important. Always, this is a suggestion to have local produce, seasonal fruits and vegetables. Walking, yoga and exercise can be done in the mornings. So these are some of the things that we will have to definitely follow without a choice. It's not a choice, it is mandatory for us to follow. Maintain and restore gut health. So for this, Pathya have to be followed. There's a common notion among people that, if we have to consume Ayurvedic medicines, we have to do a lot of Pathya. So Pathya is, let us understand these two words. That is very, very important. I would request that, just understand these words, and then next time when you need this Ayurvedic, there's a lot of, I would say fear among public that, there's a lot of heat that develops in the body if I take Ayurvedic products and all of that. So those are some of the products that you find in the kitchen as well. So anything, maricha, like, black pepper, when it is consumed in a lot of quantities, obviously it is going to create some burning sensation more than the limit, right? So how we cook, how we eat, what we eat also matters a lot. Pathya is nothing but do's, and Apathya is nothing but don'ts. What you have to do and what you should not be doing. This is a very common understanding of Pathya and Apathya. As we all know, there is a reason for a disease to occur, right? There is a cause. There are factors that cause a disease. So fighting the disease, Nidana Parivarjanam, fighting the causes. Or what do? You have to first fight the cause. So that is why we need to follow these Pathya and Apathya. So what are these? Let us just see how to restore gut health. Let us introspect if we are all having freshly prepared warm meals every day. So we need to have freshly prepared warm meals, and always cooked food and easily digestible food is always better for the gut. Is it possible? We have to make it possible. There's no choice if we have to maintain health. And regular meal timings, and eat only after your previous meal is digested. So on a particular day, one can experience some kind of indigestion or heaviness in the body. Or, there are, most often we see this in kids, and even for that matter in adults also, especially while we are working, we keep munching, we keep having all the junk and snacking in between meals. So we have to ensure that once a meal is digested and once you are hungry, only then you can have a meal. And adequate hydration is very, very important. Always, this is a suggestion to have local produce, seasonal fruits and vegetables. So there's a reason why we should be having seasonal fruits and vegetables. The food that is there, we all have different food habits, right? We, as a country, we all are from different regions and we have different eating habits. And then what is the food that we consume? It is different in different parts of the country, and of course in different parts of the world. Geographically also, there are several eating habits, which is suitable for them in that particular area. So So always have a local produce because that is suitable for us. Not just within the body, it is the environment also that plays a major role. So if you observe, lot of people experience acidity in Varsha Ritu. Once the rain starts, then udgaram, that the sore belching and all of that increases. Why does that happen? Because in the environment, the amlatvam, or it is very sour in the environment. That's why even you observe this one, you can see how tomatoes taste in when there are rains versus tomatoes in summer. So tomatoes grown in the during rainy season are more sour than what they are, when they are cultivated in the other seasons, right? So I'm not talking about adulterated food and all of that, but this is the original organic tomatoes and all of that, right? It applies to all other vegetables and fruits as well. So naturally, the amlatvam is more. So we feel those kind of symptoms. Also, if you observe, for every festival that we celebrate, there are different types of food that we take. So if you see Chaitra Masam, there is Ugadi. Most of few states they celebrate Ugadi, which is a new year, wherein we consume pachadi or which has shatruchulu, meaning all the 6 days have to be consumed. In that we use neem flowers. Why are we using neem flowers? There's a scientific reason for it. And it is always good to consume the neem flowers during the entire Chaitra Masam because there is seasonal variation happening from spring to summer, and then any temperature variations will have an impact on skin. And neem flower is very good for to maintain the skin health. So this is a simple tip, right? So these kind of lot of scientific reason is there for us to celebrate and have particular fruits and vegetables in that season. Even during the Ganesha festival, we eat a particular type of tumikura is what we eat. That is anti-infectious, it has antimicrobial properties and all of those. So when there are seasonal changes, so we need to follow that Ritucharya to maintain health. Again, mindful eating, adequate sleep, and stress management. So these are some of the things that we will have to definitely follow without a choice. It's not a choice, it is mandatory for us to follow. And Vyayama in limits has to be done. Walking, yoga, and exercise can be done in the mornings and after a meal. It is always good to have do a few steps. That is because there's an old saying in Sanskrit, "Bhojanam katva shatapadam." So at least 100 steps have to be done after meal is what has been mentioned way back. So these are some of the things that we will need to follow to maintain good gut health. And what hampers gut health? So if you see stale and processed food, so over a period of time, this will lead to a lot of health issues. Overeating and eating before the previous meal digests. So it is good to do lankanam as well. Lankanam meaning you fast. But regular fasting without following any limits, that again might lead to impairment in Agni. And then heavy and hard foods to digest, if that is being consumed, Rukshahara, if we consume, for example, bread on a regular basis, that is very hard. It is hard food to digest. So that can hamper health. So food excessively sour, salty, spicy, and oily. Excess salt can have a lot of issues, not just there's a lot of fluid retention, and then we already have a lot of hair fall that people experience owing to several factors like even pollution and stress and all of those things. Added to that, we see a lot of people having more of salty food. So processed food already has a lot of the snacks that we have, which is bought from outside. They have excessive salt for as a preservative. So that when we consume, it is only going to hamper our health. So this is one of the tips that we can follow where, you should have less amount of salt to prevent any hair fall as well. Excess sour stuff, it'll lead to hyperacidity. Spicy food, when consumed, again, it's going to hamper your digestive health. Sedentary lifestyle, improper sleep pattern, and chronic stress. So needless to say, every one of us, we have long working hours. We sit for a long time, especially people who sit with who work with laptops and computer systems. You need to sit and then work for a long time. So often we see these bloating issues and all of those. Just be careful that you get up once in half an hour or 20 minutes and then do some walk and all of that. And otherwise, it's only going to impair gut health. So how do we maintain overall health? So preventive and curative approach in Ayurveda. So once we have some complaint, is it just that we need to take medicine only? So Ayurveda prescribes first ahara, then vihara, then comes aushadha. So what we take along with medication, what is the ahara that we consume and what is the vihara? Vihara is not vacation, it is a lifestyle that we follow. So that also comes under vihara. Dinacharya, daily regimen. So, as I earlier mentioned, we need to make sure we wake up early in the morning. There are certain exemptions where, when a person is sick or when infants can sleep, smaller kids, young kids, aged below 5 years, they can sleep until 6:30. That's fine. But elders have to wake up during the Brahma Muhurtam or before the sunrise. That is always good. Definitely, people who work in the corporate field, if they have to do different shifts, there is no choice but for you to attend those shifts. However, I would suggest that make sure you follow the biological clock, otherwise gets impacted. So make sure you don't do it for a longer period at a stretch, if that is not avoidable. So that's the first thing. And then once we wake up, we need to have lukewarm water. So have good water. And then, you first thing is we need to pray to the nature, meditate, whatever. Be thankful for waking up and then do some vyayama, then danta davana, which is very important. There are certain prescription. There's a prescription in Ayurveda to do the danta davana as well, and which is brushing your teeth. And then please make sure that your tongue is cleaned very well, because once we examine the tongue, we will know the health of a person. So that is very, very important. I'll mention that an improper oral hygiene in a pregnant woman can lead to abortion as well. So it can be that serious. So it is imperative that oral health is that very important. And after that, abhyanga. So once this is done, abhyangam. Abhyangam is nothing but, which is not possible always these days, but make sure we have that done on a regular basis to maintain good health. Abhyangam is nothing but you massage your body with oil. You can do it by yourselves and then use oils. And if you don't find anything according to your prakriti, then least you can follow is take sesame oil and then you can do it. The reason why we say this, when you do the abhyanga, the metabolism gets set, skin being the largest organ, then there are nerve endings. It nourishes the nerve endings in the entire body, and that will only lead to activeness and then good metabolism. So after that, then the bath, and then you can have a quick breakfast by 8:30, and then the next lunch time would be at 12:30. So this is the morning schedule one has to follow, and sleep before 10 p.m. in the night. The reason why we say this is that is the time when pitta is very predominant, and that is the time when the body repair starts happening. So when we are used to working late in the night, or when we postpone sleep in the night, when we sleep very late, that is only going to impact our digestive health. And that's the reason why you wake up stressful in the morning, unfresh in the morning, because during the time when the body starts repairing itself, if you are awake, the mind is pretty active, and that will only lead to aggravation of pitta. Next thing is Ritucharya, seasonal regimen has to be followed according to all the ritus. Then Kaya Kalpa Chikitsa, rejuvenation therapy, can be followed. As I just mentioned about the Abhyangam and all of those, there are other treatments as well. So in this Vasant Rutu, I'm just telling you that there's a Vamana therapy that is being done, which is one of the Panchakarmas, and that is done for to maintain the health of the people. So that can also be done, but just these are small practices that you can develop on a daily basis to keep your gut health well. So once this gut health is being maintained, the tissues in the body are nourished very well, and that's how your metabolism gets set, and that will lead to overall immunity, which we call as ojas. Ojas, again, there are two types of ojas, and the dhatus are nourished really well, and that will only prevent autoimmune issues in the long run. Your health will be very well. With Vyayama and all of that, you can postpone arthritis. But there are a lot of cases where, there are joint aches and body aches. People come to us with body aches, and especially the spine cases. So these are very prevalent, and as we all observe, cancer cases are also increasing. So these are certain things that we need to follow to maintain very good health, and then improve our immunity. Otherwise, any kind of stress that you go through, chronic stress, please try to reduce that happens through meditation, or the breathing exercise. There are you can go to your yoga practitioners and learn yoga, and then do that any 2 or 3 asanas every day with some breathing exercise, pranayam, nadi shodhana. So these things, when practice, it will hardly take 15-20 minutes. Or if you can allocate half an hour for yourselves in the morning, definitely you will be postponing a lot of issues, or you will be avoiding a lot of issues, importantly. So these are the kind of steps that you will need to take. Otherwise, we also observe that once you have a lot of stress at a particular period of time, so you will see that you will catch cold frequently. So people under constant stress, they experience recurrent cold. So, and again, cough is also observed in people with lot of stress. You can catch cold and cough very frequently. So when you do that, just make sure, just you can understand that your immunity is on a lower side, and then you need to improve your immunity. That's what you need to check for yourselves. So some superfoods that you can consume on a daily basis, like amla and then turmeric. So these are things that we generally use, but there are a lot of other foods, especially please consume calcium rich food, like you have methi and greens. All of these have to be part of your daily diet regimen. And then green leafy vegetables, if you're non-vegetarians, make sure you don't eat a lot of spicy stuff, and you don't eat it regularly, and all of these things have to be followed. And there are some foods, as there's a topic called naimittika rasayanam. So that word is very important in Ayurveda, and for every ailment, there is a drug being prescribed in Ayurveda. So that can be taken along with your medications in case you're on certain medications. But then to avoid all of that, this is a strong recommendation that these practices have to be, adopted right from childhood for yourself and for your kids as well. That's it from my side.